Hello, this is Lye Yosh. Welcome back to Life Study Library. Today we're going to be talking about the truth about accomplishments. So when you think about accomplishments, what comes into your mind? What comes into your mind as an advice that other people have told you before? You might have heard stuff like, look at other successful people and learn from them. Or stuff like, work hard for a day or two and then have a rest day. Or stuff like the self-development industry always say, you have to see the bigger picture so you can motivate yourself. Or you can go the other way and enjoy the process rather than looking at the end goal. And today I'm not here to criticize all these methods, but I would say that they don't quite grasp the whole picture. And I say this solely because these are all techniques that are fully dependent on your preference. What do I mean by this? So for example, all these books about successful people and you can become successful too if you follow these steps. Most of these are highly glorified, and it makes sense. No matter how successful you become, there are phases in your life where it's not so awesome and happy. And a good 90% of these so-called examples hide these dirty and messy work so that they can make their stories seem more appealing, so that people would buy their merch or something. The high-intensity interval method, where you work hard for multiple days and then take a rest day. Yeah, this one's hard to complain, but people who tell this advice usually leaves an important step that goes alongside with the method. So what about seeing the bigger picture? Well, if you don't have a bigger picture, the whole thing falls apart. If your bigger picture is, I want to become successful, well, that's too vague. That's not specific enough of a goal that could get an action from you. And plus, I've already talked about how ambitious goals are unneeded in my other video, so if you want to check that out in my description, please do so after you finish this video. And finally, the advice about enjoying the process. Well, the process itself is unenjoyable. That's why you're having a hard time with it. So now you see what I'm talking about. These common advices are very picky of its participants. You can't put ketchup on every food and expect all of them to be good, right? Yes, all these methods are correct in a sense, but the truth behind accomplishments is a concept that is much broader. And the answer to this concept, how to accomplish stuff, is how you can effectively make it into a habit. And I can already hear people say, well, obviously, but hear me out. A lot of people have misconceptions regarding what a habit actually is and how it's actually formed. And I know habit making is an overused term, but how many of you can confidently say that you've mastered the technique of building a habit? I don't have to say it. It's hard. It's hard making things into a habit. But you should be asking a question. Why is it so hard? Despite all the resources and knowledge that you can attain for free, why does habit making seem to be a universal problem? The answer is because all the advices are garbage. I'm just joking. It's true that a handful of these advices are actually useful. But a lot of them, and I mean a lot of them, specifically speaking about the commonly told advices like looking at the bigger picture will allow you to motivate yourself. Looking at the 4.0 GPA on your transcript will allow you to motivate yourself to study. Things like these are not called advices. These are called personal experience that happen to apply to this one person or this tiny population. Or stuff like, it takes 60 days to form a habit. Who in the world has 60 days to waste before they can make it a habit? I didn't have 60 days to waste before I can make this podcast a habit. Okay, but my point is, making a habit is hard for a reason. Not because you haven't tried enough, but because the method you're implementing is not suited for you, and you need to change the method drastically. And you can start this by doubting what you've been told on the mainstream media. Because think about it, if the advices that are told are actually true and useful, the world would be filled with those who implemented from that advice and succeeded from it. But you can see that reality is a completely different story. And then there's scientifically backed up knowledge. The reason why I read a lot of books, and the reason why this channel even exists. By having the knowledge backed up with actual scientific evidence, with actual statistic data, and actual psychological studies, I can attain and export knowledge to the maximum amount of population. Okay, I kind of got off tangent, but in summary, one of the reasons why habit making is so difficult for us is that people get overwhelmed by the tremendous amount of options. The human brain is biologically incapable of handling more than a few choices. That's one reason we can't multitask despite a lot of people thinking they can. And then another reason that makes habit building so difficult for us is that people look at other people's success stories. And while the act alone is fine in terms of information attaining, like I said before, these stories are highly glorified, so it doesn't really make a good example for you. Additionally, this causes a problem because the more you look at other people's success stories, the more you're going to compare yourself with them. You're going to be feeling, wow, they seem so successful and achieved. yet here I am, stuck in a divot and can't seem to get out of it. And then you're going to feel anxious and start to rush things or try to multitask. So you're going to look at other examples. You're going to try to find more examples to reference from. So the negative loop will continue over and over until you say, well, my hard work isn't flourishing, so what's the point of me even trying anymore? Okay, the discussion went all over the place, but I needed you guys to know all these stuff before I move on to the main topic, which is starting right now. So with all this said, you might be asking, well, don't you need motivation to make a habit? Don't you need motivation to keep doing the same thing over and over for an extended period of time? And to this I say, in terms of habit building, motivation is not really necessary. To begin with, having motivation crossed over with habit building, that's already stupid. Because the whole point of making a habit out of something is so that you can do it semi-automatically. The whole point of making it into a habit is so that you can avoid being swayed by having or not having motivation. You won't need motivation for, say, brushing your teeth, You're not going to go like, today I'm going to brush my teeth and clean myself. Brushing your teeth is so natural for you guys, or I hope it's natural for you guys, that you just do it. You don't need an emotion to hype you up. What you need to be doing is to divide up whatever you're trying to accomplish into tiny bite-sized pieces, and then do that every single day. If you're working out, start by doing 1 push-up. If you're studying, start by doing 1 question. If it's a career, make your daily work so small that it might seem insignificant, and then make it a routine so that you don't have to depend on how much you're motivated for the day. And for this to work, looking at the end goal and motivating yourself, or simply motivating yourself by saying, I can do this, I can do this, I can do this. These stuff are completely pointless. But I'm not saying that motivation is completely useless. It has a time and place for it. Motivation is helpful when we're trying to increase the intensity of our habits. When we're trying to do 2 push-ups instead of 1 and make that a habit. When we think, I usually read only 10 pages per day, but today I'm kind of feeling motivated, so let's do 20 pages and make that a habit. So the key takeaway is that motivation is not something that we can control, but rather comes at a random point, and that's fine. We just have to know that whenever it comes, and then use that to set a new normal, whether it's 2 push-ups or 20 pages. I work out almost every single day, but my usual intensity is about like 70 to a max of 80%. But then there's going to be those rare days where I feel good for no reason, so let's set up new PR. So let's say, for example, my 70 to 80% intensity for bench is 160 pounds, and then I do 3 sets of 8 reps, and so that's a total of 24 reps per day. And because I don't kill myself every time I do it, I get to do it every single day, which theoretically you're not really supposed to, but for the math, let's say I get to do that 7 days a week. I got a total rep of 168. Compare this with if I were to max out and do 200 pounds. And I do 3 sets of 4 reps, so a total of 12 reps per day. And then I do that every other day, so times 4 days, which would get me a total of 48 reps. In terms of how many total reps I can get at a consistent pace, the former example is much better. Although I still think benching every single day is bad for you. I'm sorry, that was a bad example, but you get my point. The key to accomplishment is to do the bare minimum. Have the cup empty enough so that consistent performance is possible, but full enough where you can actually get something out of it. It's not good either if you can just yawn while doing it. Finding that right spot is a little difficult, but this, you just have to test it out and find out yourself. Once you find that spot, wherever you are, then keep doing that consistently. And then you can welcome any days where you feel good by increasing the intensity of your daily workload. Alright, so that was pretty much everything that I wanted to say in this video. Yeah, this video is kind of an analytical presentation rather than me pointing out specific articles or studies or experiments. I figured since I made more than 1 video, it's time to experiment and see what happens. But anyways, I'm aware that I left one part of the topic undiscussed, and you might wonder about this concept. You might ask, well, okay, so if you don't need motivation throughout the process of making things a habit, what about at the beginning, like right at the beginning? Don't you need motivation to get yourself out of the bed and start your day 1 of your journey towards making things a habit? And to answer this question, I would say that, yeah, it is kind of helpful at the beginning. This is like the only part where motivation is beneficial to you. Usually in your first day of your journey, you're going to feel motivated pretty much no matter what. It's the first day, so you usually feel excited about what you might accomplish. And the adrenaline's going to be rising pretty much on its own. But if you think about it, this is actually the PR day. Remember what I talked about, those days where you feel good for no reason, so you increase the intensity of your norm. It's the days that come after the first day, and virtually forever, that decides whether you can accomplish your goal or not. But it's also a problem if you just only get motivated and not let it simmer into action, right? You might think this is obvious, but it happens to a lot of people. They'll be like, okay, so I want to become more attractive. So I'll work out so I can get that nice, toned, muscular, attractive body. So I'll start working out tomorrow. So let's go to McDonald's. Yeah, you might think it's stupid, but it's a common thing. Or you can be one of those people from self-development and talk about the law of attraction in a misguided way and be like, if you think about your goals, the goal is going to come towards you. So think about it hard and you can be whatever you want to become. So yeah, so even when it comes to the starter motivation, you need to do something that's drastically different from the mainstream advices. But what if I tell you that there is this one method that seems so fake, but so far from it? A scientifically proven method that, in my opinion, is the most easiest method that takes like less than a minute. So no need to watch those 10-minute long motivational videos or none of those. And I'm going to talk about that next time. And it's going to be called something like shortest and easiest ever. The technique for motivation boosting. Or something like that. My life's going to get busy from now on and I want more time to read. So I'm thinking of uploading like maybe 5. No, I feel like that's too much. Maybe like 3. 3 per week. I'm going to upload 3 videos per week and then gradually change that routine depending on how much demand there is. So until then, those of you who haven't thought of a goal or anything that you want to accomplish this year, it's never too late. Just because the year has already started doesn't mean that you can't start your journey today. And to those of you who've already started walking towards your goal, no need to rush, no need to panic, no need to push yourself too much. Just make sure that it's doable for you so that you can actually, continue doing it. Today's supposed to be my chest day, so I'm going to go work on it. Thank you so much for watching this video. Make sure to click the subscribe button and like this video so you can watch more of my past and my future content. Alright, that's it from me. Bye!